So here we are. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's a beautiful day in Boise, Idaho, and we are just sitting here in the studio for another live stream. Today we're going to talk about how to hike the Selway River in my most recent trip to the Bitterroot Wilderness. But before that, let's talk first about REI and a situation that I've never gotten into with REI, which just happened to me right now. And that is that REI denied me a return today from some gear malfunction from this recent trip. And I stopped by the house to see Sarah, and she jokingly called me a Karen. And so I am just going to put the question to you and describe the situation to you, and you let me know what you think. You let me know if I was being a douchebag, or I was in the wrong, or they shouldn't have accepted my return, or they should have. So the situation is, when I got into winter backpacking, I got gaiters. You see me wearing gaiters a lot in these videos, especially for the winter ones. You need gaiters to keep your shoes from filling up with snow. And the first gaiters I got were by Outdoor Research. They're a real popular gaiter, and they were like 55 bucks. I took them on one trip. That was the Sawtooth trip, and they broke. So I went into REI in November, and I returned those. They accepted that return. And I asked them, hey, you know, what should I wear? This is what I'm doing. This is the kind of terrain I'm going to be in. And they pointed me to the gaiter section, and their REI themselves make their own gaiters, which is great. One of the reasons I like shopping at REI is I like their stuff. I like the stuff they carry. Usually I go for the REI brand because it's cheapest, and it's good stuff. I like it. So REI has a selection of gaiters. There are gaiters there labeled backpacking gaiters. And then there are gaiters there labeled mountaineering gaiters. And on these mountaineering gaiters, you know, they say rugged, durable, tough, and they're more hardcore. They're more for mountaineering. They're about 75 bucks. So I bought the gaiters. And the gaiters have been doing pretty well for me, and I took them on 3 trips so far. So I did, I think I did the honeycomb loop in them, pretty tough. I did that hike to Blackwell Lake with Sarah the other weekend, and Tucker, hey Tucker, if you're there. Oh yeah, you are, hey Tucker. I took them on my most recent trip. And on my most recent trip, they broke. Here they are. So this little part broke, this little clasp that connects it to your boot on the underside. That's how it broke on my last ones too. I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. But that really put me in a hole too when I'm out there. Like, I don't want to say it's like life or death when gear fails, but it puts you in a bind when gear fails. Like, especially gear like this. And if you watch the video that we're going to talk about today, like, the conditions were absolutely terrible. And keeping your feet dry and warm is critical. It's not like, yeah, try. It's like you have to, or bad things happen. And when these fail, it became a problem and a constant thing where I had to, you know, keep them working so that snow didn't get in my boots. So I go to REI with these, and I present them, and I tell them what happened, and they refuse my return because they say that this is normal wear and tear, okay? And that their 1-year return policy, you know, first of all, I never yelled. I just want to say that. I never yelled. I actually smiled through the whole thing. I knew that, like, I was about to disagree with these people, and I was very respectful, all right? So let's start with that, where I would just ask the question where, like, the person said these are normal wear and tear, and I say, well, I disagree. I bought them, you know, we pull up my member number. You could see where I bought them. I bought them in November. They are mountaineering gaiters, described as rugged. they failed within the first season of use. Like, I don't think that you should be selling a product that after 4 trips breaks, right? I think that's not wear and tear. That is a failure of a product, I feel like. They're looking at these and they're being like, dude, you use these. You use them well. And it's like, yeah, I use them for what they're designed for. These are called mountaineering gaiters. They're more expensive. They say rugged. They say durable on them. Like, I'm using them the way they're supposed to be used. I feel they should last more than 4 trips. Don't you agree? And so the person denied my request. Eventually, eventually I was like, is there anyone higher up? I know that's kind of a douchey move. But then the manager came out, and this is what we agreed on. And I accepted this wholeheartedly. They said, look, we can't accept them in this condition, that looking this dirty. I did spray these off, by the way. This is the first pass through. I didn't do a very good job, though. So they were like, if you clean them up and bring them back all dry and looking nice, we'll accept your return. And with that, I accepted that immediately. I didn't argue with them. I was like, I see your point there. Let me go clean them, and I'll bring them back. So what do you think? I mean, you see the gaiters. They failed on the 4th trip. I'm hiking in mountains and stuff like that. Is this failure on me? Is it on REI? You know, let me know. At least REI has a good return policy. Well, never mind. They still have a good return policy. And I did encourage them to look at that. Like, do you see how much money I spend here in a given year? I feel like you should. That's the other thing. I didn't want cash back. I actually brought the other gaiters up with me. I'm like, I just want to exchange these. These were working well. I don't know why they failed. You know, I'm not going to use them as much in the summertime. They'll probably last longer. Let me just exchange them with a new pair. No cash needs to be given back. And they want to do that. And I was like, okay. So, what else? Before we get into the hike, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about a project I've been working and some things on my mind when it comes to open spaces. A little thing about me, when my first stint in college, I was not a cinematography major. I was a political science major, and I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I just always kind of just been passionate about something, or like having a cause. I don't know why I feel I need to have a cause or something like that. I guess it's like, you know, when I think about life and time and even like just dying and leaving like a legacy, I just think when when you get to when you're on your deathbed, it's like, I don't want to look back and think I didn't do anything. I didn't leave an impact. So a lot more I've been drawn to the topic of just open spaces as it comes to Idaho and protecting that and conserving that and keeping Idaho public. But it's been really hard for me to come up with a way that like I can help or make a difference or make an impact, or what could even help with the open spaces problem. What is the open spaces problem? Really just learning more about it as I continue this journey. And I'm in this really weird position in life where I get to talk to so many different people, so many different experts when I get jobs like this, that I get a really unique viewpoint, I think, on some things. And also I'm a little bit dumber on, sometimes I feel like I'm the more info I get, the more wrong I am when it comes to these things, because you'll hear, I'll ask someone, what do you think of, we'll just take the Salmon River Dam issues. Like, I don't understand what the fight against the taking down those dams and saving our salmon population is. And I hear from all these people that reassure me, yeah, this is totally necessary for our economy. It's a no-brainer. And then I make that statement, and then someone else comes in and is like, hey, by the way, I'm a farmer in the Perilous, and you're totally wrong. Like, these are super important for their barge system, and you know, taking our crops to the major port of Seattle and blah, 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 blah. So where am I at with open spaces? Well, I just want to talk about this job I've been doing and what it's, how it's made me think about them and what we can be doing. It's so funny, I reached out to the Idaho ICCU, Idaho Conservation, whatever. They're a nonprofit here that deals with Idaho conservation issues. And I asked if I could volunteer for free with my camera and just help them. And they said no. They didn't say maybe, they said no. So like I've tried to volunteer with them, but they just told me no straight up. I don't know why. And things like that. So I'm dealing with this open spaces project, and I gotta say, I am super proud to be Boisean. This city is ranked, if you look at most livable cities in the United States, this city constantly ranks on every top 10 list. A lot of the times it's 1, 2, 3. If it's not on there, Nampa's on there because the cost of living's a little bit cheaper. But this Treasure Valley area, I don't think it's a reach for me to say it's one of the most livable places in the United States. And I think one of the reasons it is because of the outdoor lifestyle and open spaces that this place protects. When you come to Boise and you see our foothills and you go to a place like Salt Lake City, you'll notice a vast difference where our foothills have a house dotted on the landscape versus like Salt Lake where those are just built up and you have to go back to get into their foothills. Our park system here is incredible. You know, the Wave downtown, if you've ever been here, we have this green belt that runs along, you know, this very pristine big river, the Boise River. It's not just some creek. The Boise River is a major river. It's an awesome river. And just protecting all these places and being able to preserve them has made Boise great. So the project I'm working on is for the Boise Valley Economic Partnership. We're highlighting that, you know, Boise lifestyle, Boise living, open spaces, how this place does that. So I've been able to meet a lot of cool people through this project. It was the general manager of Bogus Basin was first, and being able to chat with him and how amazing Bogus is. You know, that's a nonprofit resort that we have here in this town. They're not here to make money. They're here to cover their costs, build that place up. It's a place for us. Like, no matter, I know it sucks sometimes when season ticket prices get raised, but when you look around at other ski resorts and in major cities like ours, I mean, there's no comparison of how cool of a resource that is, and you know, how that's been protected. So talking with him, I got to meet the executive director of Parks and Recreation here for Boise, basically the Leslie Knope of Boise, and just talk to him about what they're doing to preserve our park system, and some other people. I had former Governor Butch Otter in here this morning. Just really interesting topics, and I've come to the conclusion that the way we protect open spaces is to build a culture around open spaces, and to make open spaces a no-brainer. Really cool, right? Boise has succeeded. I was talking to the Parks and Rec guy, you know, a lot of these open spaces are here, the foothills preservation. It's our city that has purchased them, those plots of land, through bonds. The first one came about early 2000s with our now current mayor passing a $10 million bond. They later, in like around 2010, got another one passed. I was told there's still $7 million left in that bond that they're using to purchase land. And just hearing them talk about growth and responsible growth, and how that first bond was so hard to pass because so many people were against preserving the foothills. And now the second one, how easily that one passed, you know, the director was telling me. The second one passed really easily. And I was watching on Netflix, you know, it's so funny, I was watching on Netflix this new show, Our Great National Parks. I don't know if you've seen it, with Barack Obama narrates it. There's like 4 episodes, and I'm like, and I almost didn't watch it because I'm looking and I'm like, how are one of these episodes not Yellowstone, the first national park? If he doesn't touch it on Yellowstone, I'm turning this off. And halfway through the first episode, Obama touches on Yellowstone and the national park system. And I don't know if you know this, but Yellowstone was the first national park in the world that we, America, established. And I mean, if you watch the show, like I almost got teary-eyed. Like your patriotism will rise through the roof, because Obama touches on, like, yeah, national parks weren't a thing. We did it. It became trendy, and the rest of the world started to do it. And I think that when I hear that, and when I see what's happening in Boise, and I see what's happening around, I realize what we can do as a people for our open spaces. And that's to raise awareness, bring a culture where that's important to people. And it sounds cliche, but like, put your money where your mouth is when you vote and stuff. I was talking with Steve Studebaker during this project, really famous Idaho conservative author, not conservative politically, I mean, he deals with Idaho conservation. And we were talking about the Snake River dams, and I was like, hey, when are those getting done? And I thought he'd say tomorrow, and he's like, no, most people are against that. Actually, the biggest thing we have going for us right now is that a congressman has taken up the cause, Congressman Mike Simpson, and that's the first heavy hitter in Washington to actually like try to push this through. And you know, I think of Frank Church designating the Frank Church Wilderness, the largest wilderness in the lower 48 here in Idaho, and him pushing that through. And I was really sad when Steve told me that Mike Simpson is going to face his toughest re-election ever because of his stance on the Snake River dams. And that was insane to me. I didn't realize that we still, even in an outdoors hub like Idaho, have people kind of pushing against that, more for what it sounds to me like economic reasons. Like I said, it's those dams provide a free meal ticket basically for a very big agricultural region in north central Idaho and in Washington, where basically they barge their goods through that dam system to Seattle, where it goes out internationally. So their whole counter is, well, if we get rid of those dams, we'll have to find different, more expensive means to get it to Seattle. And that's a bummer. It's a bummer. And I think Boise is having success because, you know, I know that growth here is such a big topic and a hot topic, and I've always pushed against that, and I think I'll push against it again. I might double down on it. When you start to bring in people, like the Boise Valley Economic Partnership, that's their whole goal, mission statement. You know, they're a government agency. Their whole goal is to draw economic development and people to Boise and preserve our economic stability. And they're trying to draw businesses by hiring people like me to highlight the outdoors. And I think that's great because you're going to attract people that are going to value open spaces like that. People, you know, if it becomes cool and politicians start feeling the effects of their actions to protect open spaces, keep them in office, guess what? They're going to start doing it. Mayor McLean, you know, she's mayor now. She's basically run on those platforms of preserving our open spaces, and say what you will or not about her. I mean, she's in, and that's her platform. And whether you lean liberal or conservative, I don't think there's a difference here. I think both parties could have interests in protecting our open spaces. I don't think we have to be divided on this. And so I think bringing that mindset, bringing that culture into America, you know, into our home, back into the forefront, is really important. And I hope we do that here on this channel, that I somehow am able to just put forth that message and hopefully grow a community of like-minded people. I think it's happening here, and I think it needs to happen quickly, because, you know, we can get, once you lose these open spaces to people with a lot of money, with a lot of power, that want to keep it away from the public, it's really hard to get them back. It's really hard to get them back. So we have to be proactive and we have to be quick. Which sometimes bothers me because obviously government moves slow. But I think that's the way you protect open spaces. I've just kind of had that epiphany of it's for us, it starts with the culture. It starts with voting. It starts with putting our money where our mouth is, pushing for things like easements on our foothills, in the sawtooths, on land that may be purchased. It also takes some good people and some good philanthropy, which we have here in Boise. A lot of our parks are donated by, you know, Catherine Albertson, Esther Simplot. I think making it cool so that rich people, you know, I hope rich people want to die with their names on more pieces of public land than money in their bank accounts. I think that would be, you know, creating that kind of culture around open spaces could be great. And, you know, other things. I was told that, you know, a lot of our current governor, Little, his sons, he owns a lot of this land in the foothills, and his sons recently sold off quite a bit to our city to preserve. I was told they sold it for half its worth. And I thought that was cool. Honestly, I don't mind when people own land and they want to get paid for it. Like if I was Governor Little and I made this great investment on land and I was able to give it to my sons for them to possibly gain generational wealth for them and their families, do I want them to do that? Hell yeah, I want them to do that. And I think they should be able to do that. I think they could have sold it to the city at full price if they wanted to, and I would have been okay with that. The fact that they're willing to sell to the city for public lands instead of a developer, like, people, we need to make that, you know, the more standard thing. And we need to be able to have money, like our bond system. You know, there was millions of dollars in that account, like I said. So when they had the opportunity to buy the land, they were able to take it. And I'm told, even though they gave half, they took a pay cut. Governor Little's children worked out pretty nicely in the end. So everyone's happy. It protects the legacy. And I think that's what needs to be done moving forward. So I guess, long story short, pay attention to open spaces, vote for people, vote for levies, vote for bonds, make people know that we care about these open spaces, and that if you want to remain in office, you should care. And that's how we solve this issue. Anyways. Game time is 7:45, so I have a little time to drive. I know, if you're watching Boston, New York, Brooklyn right now, instead of joining this live stream, I totally get it. Like, we should hurry this up and get to those games. So let's jump into it. Enough of the politics. But I hope that was positive, because I've been doing negative stuff on the negative stories of open spaces. But hey, Boise, we're killing it. And we have people that care here, and I'm really proud of us. So let's do this. Let's jump into this hike. All right. So first off, I didn't know where I was going in this hike, if you couldn't tell. I didn't know where the snow line would be. I gave myself so many different options. I even started the hike and I'm like, man, did I bring snowshoes for a wrong reason? Okay. And I'm definitely going to head back, and I'll show you what we got into here with this hike. Let's switch over to the Google. All right, so here it is. This is located in north central Idaho, not quite north Idaho, but you can see it from afar here. It's just north of Riggins. I think I'm in Boise. It took me like 5.5 hours to get there. Any car can make it, which is a big deal. And the trailhead is located at like, I want to say like 1,200 feet. So the trailhead is open, which is, in this time of year in Idaho, is pretty tough. I'm going to tell you right now, not spoiler alert, I don't know why I said that, that was dumb. I'm going to tell you now, the snow level that I hit was 4,600 feet. So it's like, I mean, Boise is sitting at 3,000. So we still have snow in the mountains, all right? I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, all the snow's melted. No, all of our trails and mountain lakes are like at the lowest elevations of like 6,500 feet. They are still deadlocked in snow. So I hope this helps you understand that. But the lower trailhead is available, okay? And a lot of the times, one of the popular places to go here in the Bitterroots are like these mountain lakes up here. So these are cove lakes. I think this is the most popular hike. It's the easiest, right? We can see them in here. And normally what you do is you actually drive up. You can see this road right over here. This is actually my little dot for where the trailhead normally starts, because normally you could take this windy road, you can kind of see it leading down. It comes around here to Gedney Creek Campground right here. This road was closed, so they had a gate over it. Thank you, by the way, Forest Service, for putting that gate over it, because I was going to test this road and see how far up I could get. But they made my decision really easy for me. So in the summer, normally, you would actually drive almost all the way up to Fog Mountain here, and then you would take off from here with just stunning views back up into here, into Big Fog Mountain, and then there's a bunch of lakes around here. So this was the lake I was trying to get to, Parsons Lake way over here. There's like Big Fog Lake, which doesn't look that big in this photo. Right here that people go to. There's Legend Lake right here. There's 3 South Links Lake, which down in here, 1, 2, 3. There's a lake way over here. And then there's, of course, these Cove Lakes, which is the most popular overnight trip. So that's what people normally do in the summer. So if you can't do that, and you can do this also in the summer too, but the other trailhead is located down here at Race Creek Campground. Race Creek Campground is where there was a Forest Service member there that was, he had a big hunting tent, I want to call it, shelter, and he was there the whole time. That's where you get your permit to go into the wilderness and stuff. And there was some horse camps there. I saw the only other group I saw there was on horses. So there's a bathroom right there. It's great. Where I camped was like, I think I was camped like down here. We're gonna pull up the video, but I was camped, you could see it. I had a metal fire pit. There's the bathroom in my campground. There's campgrounds all along this place, and all of them were beautiful and stunning. There were some RVs in there already. This road is pretty easy, like I said, any car can get there. So a real good area to start, and a real good area you could get to right now, even if you don't want to do the extreme stuff that I did. Definitely this weekend, you could hop in your car, you can come down here, you could camp next to the gorgeous Selway River. I've done videos on the Lock Saw and River Dance Lodge. River Dance Lodge is like right here or something, like I passed it. Really great place so you can get food and stuff like that. There's an inn here. I mean, just a really cool spot if you don't even want to hike. So then down here, can't even miss it, because this is where the road ends, the trailhead starts. And if you want, you can do this as a day hike. You can just go down, plenty of places to fish on the Selway River, put boats in if you want to kayak. I was talking with a fellow YouTuber, Gatewood Brown. Definitely check out his channel, it's awesome. He does a lot of kayak camping. I think he's gonna come up and run this river after seeing my video. So there's a lot of great spots along this place, and there's a lot of great camping. You get into campsites, dispersed camping sites, right away on this trail. If you wanna go a half mile with this backpack, not touch snow, camp next to a creek, camp next to the river, you'll start finding stuff right away, right here. And it's really up to you how far you want to go. You can go, I mapped it out. In the video, this is where I turn and head up. that we'll get to. I think this little dot right here is where I actually stayed on the last night after coming down. I wasn't even sure when I started this if I'd be able to get up into here at all. So I had like Cedar Falls Camp way down here mapped out in case I wanted to go even farther along this trail. So super customizable. You can make with it as you want. Really cool area. Spring, summer, winter, awesome. I've even heard of people doing stuff farther than Cedar Flat camps. Big loops. It looks like a loop goes around here. Just a ton of stuff to do. I'll have more info. I'm definitely going back when this place thaws. One of my favorite parts of Idaho. So green. So green. Really Pacific Northwesty. Let's hop over to the video real quick. And let me give you a sense of what I'm talking about. So none of this was obviously shot in the wilderness. The wilderness is like a good 2 miles from the trailhead. This was from my campground and from the roadway, obviously, and I just spliced it in here. So I'm very far from the wilderness, drone Karens, okay? And you know, here's my campground on night 1. You can see it's a beautiful spot, and it's got fire pits and plenty of room, and there was other campsites there. This is my new setup. I was actually the lightest I've ever been on this trip. I knew this was going to be strenuous, and I took a lot out of my bag, like a lot. And I was really, really light for this trip, and that kind of saved me, as we're going to get into here. Definitely check out my boot video in the description if you don't have your winter hiking boots set up on point. I've talked about that a lot. Like if your feet go bad, you're screwed. But as you can see, things are blooming, water levels are rising, things are thawing. Spring is here, Idaho. Spring is here, Pacific Northwest. It's just creeping up those mountains. Great trail, as you can see, a lot of it the Forest Service is taking really good care of. There's bridges and logs and stuff. I was not planning on the weather to be this bad, but as you can see, I have rain gear. So I've gone with like a new system. I used to wear like a soft shell pants, but now I'm just wearing my hiking boot setup, which you've seen in my videos. And then I've got fleece long johns under rain pants. I took my soft shell pants, which I've heard you're supposed to use in winter, out, gone fully rain pants. Got like a fleece mid layer, a t-shirt, and my rain jacket on over this. I definitely, I see a lot of backpackers stick their stuff in a garbage bag before they put it into their bag. And I was always like, why are you doing that? I mean, I get why you're doing that in case your bag gets wet, but what are you doing? Are you so uncoordinated? You're falling in creeks? Like, why is your bag getting wet? I learned how your bag gets wet on this because mine did, like so, to the inside. And I really was like, shit, I wish I had that garbage bag, especially to protect some of my clothes, which were getting wet, unfortunately. But that's what I'm wearing. And this is where I take that turn. So this part of the video, the trail becomes kind of a goat trail. And this is that turn basically right here. And you'll, at Power Creek was the name of that creek. Big bridge, really big campsite at Power Creek. That's where my one big group of horse packers were, right in here on this bridge, on this thing. But yeah, you take this route up, kind of comes up through, this line is not very good. This is not the line I took. It's more along this ridge here, and you go up this ridge and kind of up through here is where I went in this region. Back to the video. So as I climb, the weather gets worse. Go figure. Thanks. Thanks, Idaho. That is one thing about Idaho. You just got to be prepared. This is, as I've traveled, like I appreciate Idaho's ruggedness. It is definitely, I'll go to other places in the Pacific Northwest and be like, oh, this is easy. I've been hiking in Idaho. We are rugged. And obviously the snow starts building. I'm still able to kind of go. And actually the hike along the creek, even the river, it was a good 6 miles before I even started going uphill, and the weather got really bad. And again, what I'm trying to get to is kind of in my head, I'm like, I really want to get to Parsons Lake. It's like right here. I'm like, maybe I can get to there. And night one, I was just slow going. It's not much in terms of a trail, obviously. A lot of bushwhacking, a lot of stopping, and again, checking your Garmin. You're not going to have a trail to follow. You got to follow your GPS. You got to make sure your GPS skills are on point when you do stuff like this, because you are really flying blind. Obviously, I was flying blind because I was in a whiteout for a lot of it. So, whoops, sorry, wrong button. As we can see, so I had nothing to go on but my own sense of direction and GPS. And honestly, I didn't feel like I was ever really lost. I did make a wrong turn that almost cost me, I don't want to say my life, but definitely an expensive life flight, which we'll get into in a second. So I found water, and I was like, you know what? Conditions are bad. I need to stop. I need to set up camp. It's getting dark. I need to like reassess the situation. So I found a spot next to a creek where I could get water, and dug myself out my tent and got into it. So definitely take a shovel, definitely take snowshoes. The shovel is for sure you need to take. I've been trying to get away with my little snow claw, but having that shovel, it makes all the difference. I brought my Sawyer, like a Sawyer water filter with me this time. Again, I wanted to be super light. So I just went with, that Sawyer that screws on to your bottle. So I could just be like, gulp, 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 fill, gulp, 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 fill, gulp, 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 fill. I cooked all my meals in the tent. Definitely be good with your jet boil skills. Don't burn down your tent. That could be bad. And this is grizzly bear country. They're not, I don't want to say they're super prevalent over here, but they definitely wander in from Montana, from northern Idaho. So you can see a grizzly in this part of Idaho. And yeah, I didn't bring the blanket. I brought my 0 degree, my liner, my Therm-a-rest pad, and I did fine. Not the coldest conditions I've faced. The honeycomb loop was colder, but just the most weather I've faced in terms of just snow. And it was actually more the wet that was giving me problems. But by this time, I'm good. Right after this, my Gaiter fails, and I take a wrong turn, and that's where things start to get weird. I was able to check the weather with my Garmin. I was actually sitting in the tent, able to check the weather, like, hey, is this going to pass? Because the weather was coming down. Didn't look like it was, so I decided to dig the tent out and get going. So at this point, I'm climbing Fog Mountain. That's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of what I'm heading to. I'm like, man, can I make it to Parsons Lake? So I get to here in the middle of the day. The other thing is, like, I've allotted myself a certain amount of time, right? Like, I've got a job. I got to be back for stuff. I can't just be out there forever, even though it looks like sometimes I can. And so at that point, it's the middle of the day, and I'm not having concerns about getting to Parsons Lake. I'm having concerns about, okay, the next day I have to get out of here, and I have to get to Boise, which is a 6-hour drive. If I make it to Parsons Lake, am I going to be able to get home in time? That's what I'm thinking in that moment. The answer is no. And at this point, I think I'm like, I could see Big Fog Mountain. I'm like right here. Okay, so this is Parsons Lake. I was able to come up over this ridge, and I actually come down into here, and I'm just surveying this landscape, and it's not, you obviously don't see a trail, and it looks like there's bushwhacking. Here's where my mistake happens, okay? The trail up, if we want to call it that, wasn't a trail, and I did a lot of bushwhacking. So my thought was, when you're at this point, I know that the river is right here. And that's what I'm trying to get to. So I'm like, forget it. I'm going back down to the river. I'm going to stay next to the river. So I'm right here. And my hike up wasn't easy. And I'm just like, you know what? Do I want to come back all the way back this way and come down? Or do I just want to get the hell down and then take the easy route out? And that's my thought. I'm going to just get down, take the easy route. I see a creek. I'm obviously sitting on a creek. It's Ballinger Creek. And I'm like, I have that old school survivalist mentality. I don't know why. Follow water down to the river, right? So that's my thought. And when you look out, like, this is my first steps, I'm like, this seems pretty easy. It actually kind of does. Like, this is you can pass the creek right here, kind of looks level. I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna go this way. Big mistake. Big mistake that could have cost me a lot. And I ended up not shooting a lot of this because I was kind of in danger a lot of it, because what ended up happening was that this creek turned into a basically raging river where you don't even see it here. There's basically a waterfall in front of me, like with sheer granite on either side. So I have to make this really crazy hike. This is like the best I can do in terms of like up this ridge line here. I don't even know what I'm checking I don't even know what I'm doing with the camera at this point. I'm so exhausted. I basically had to climb up a ridge, over a waterfall, up here, and I am slow going. I'm limping. I'm wet, and I keep hitting these waterfalls. Like, this is the one shot basically I got of it, but you'll head down this creek and then it turns into this raging waterfall. There is not a trail or a place to go. I am stuck in, this is not a trail. I'm stuck in this ravine with like some crazy climbing and waist deep snow to get out of it. And it's so funny, I told Sarah this, and I mentioned this on our last live stream when we went with Jen and Tucker to Blackwell Lake. You know, we kind of like, we're like, stick to snowmobile tracks. There's the trail, stick to the trail. Don't deviate from the trail in the winter, because you really don't know what's out there. Like, you don't know what the snow is done, what's open, what's not. So if you can find a path, stick to it. And I had told Sarah this, and she's like, why didn't you just follow your own advice and stick to the trail? Well, my argument was, well, it wasn't really a trail. There wasn't any snowmobile tracks or anything like that. I was kind of marking out the trail. But it was still a trail in the fact that, like, that trail doesn't take you over any crazy major waterfalls. It doesn't take you in that you know, through these dangerous ravines. Sure, there's not really a trail, but if I stuck to my line on my GPS, I would have been much better off than deviating from it and trying to take this shortcut, which really, really got me into some trouble. All my gear is ripped. You'll see my bag is ripped. I muttered an F-bomb here. There were 5 hard miles that took me like 10 hours where I got like 3 shots because I was in trouble. So stick to the trail, stick to your GPS if you're going to do this stuff in the winter. I have said that a couple times and didn't follow my own advice, and you should do that. Stick to your line that you planned on your GPS if you're going to do that, if I'm going to teach you anything there. Eventually, fortunately, I made it back. And this is at the bottom of Ballinger Creek, and it's just a beautiful area. So this wasn't even like a campsite. This is how exhausted I was. Like, the Ballinger Creek campsite is It's right across the corner with like really nice fire pits, and someone had made benches and stuff. I didn't care. Found the first place to put my tent up, and I was done. I was over it. And then from there, I had another 7-mile trip back to the car, and I was exhausted, and my socks were wet, unfortunately. Here's the thing, I didn't get any blisters, and my feet were never cold, even though they were wet. My boot system, my socks, they are designed to still keep your feet cold. So I still am super dialed in on my feet, by the way. I just want to put that out there. The reason my extra pair of socks were wet the next morning was because I didn't have that trash bag, and they were sitting in my bag, and they unfortunately got wet. But I was still able to survive and still able to make it out. And yeah, I'll definitely be back to the Bitterroots and the Selway River. This is the Selway River. This part of Idaho has 3 major rivers that intersect: the Selway, the Clearwater, and the Locksaw. Just a beautiful area. You can see my bag is ripped here. Put your snowshoes on. Probably sharp way, facing away. Idiot. Such a rookie. Yeah, and there it is, the hike to the Selway River. Any questions before we get out of here and go watch the NBA playoffs? Who do you got? I got Boston versus Phoenix. I was really happy to see Devin Booker's hamstring strain is only 2 games. I still think Phoenix is the best team. I think Boston is actually going to take the Brooklyn series in 5, if anyone wants to hit me up for money on that. I probably just said something illegal there. I don't know. Any questions before we get out of here? There's even still snow on Lucky Peak right now. Yeah, everyone, if you follow the channel, you follow these live streams, my videos, like I'm trying to put them out right away after I get them done right now. For that reason, I want to be able to tell you where that snow level is kind of as we go. I'm planning another trip with friends right now, and they're sending me stuff, and I'm like, dude, the snow level. So glad you made it back. Thanks, Tucker. Emergency helicopter pickup would have made good video, though. Yeah, it would have. You know, through that, in the canyon, there was a point where I was doing that math in my head. You know, with the Garmin, I have the ability to text Sarah, to text Chad. The 4 numbers I have on the Garmin right now are my stepson, my girlfriend, Chad, and Brett. And it's like, do I contact one of them to hit up search and rescue to come find me? Or do I just hit this SOS button? What would be cheaper? Because I do have health insurance, and I do have like some life flight coverage through the Garmin. I wonder what would be cheaper. I thought about that a lot on this hike. So interestingly enough, maybe emergency helicopter. It'd be so funny if I'm getting into the emergency helicopter with my camera. Those guys would be like, dude, you know how much this video just cost you? And yeah, so there we have it. All right, cool stuff. We got more hikes coming. We got more open spaces coming. I am working on some really, really interesting stuff that I can't say too much on right now because it's not finalized. But I am looking to bring like RV lifestyle to this channel with the help of a major dealership, and we are talking. And I really, 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 really hope that gets done. We are in some contract negotiations right now that I think would be really cool. Where they would allow me to basically take RVs from the dealership and put them in these videos. So I think that could be a really cool twist to this video, having some RVs in there. But other than that, more hiking, more gear reviews, more Mom's Bush Kitchen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.